coverage of the TSB Community Trust Series is proudly brought to you by Vantage Windows and Doors, principal partner of Hockey New Zealand, Computer Concepts Limited, Ford New Zealand, Lotto Sports, and Hockey New Zealand. Live from Stratford, it's the Vantage Blacksticks versus Japan.
Good evening and welcome to the TET Multisports Centre in Stratford, Taranaki, as we get ready for the fourth and final game of this TSB Community Trust Series between the Vantage Blacksticks of New Zealand and Samurai Japan. New Zealand leading this four-match series 2-1, courtesy of their 2-0 win over the Samurai Japan side last night. Japan actually took the opening game at 2-1 on Thursday night. New Zealand bounced back to level the series 6-3 on Saturday, and New Zealand then taking the lead last night. I'm Brenton Vanessa Roy. I'll be joined in commentary by former Blackstick Chris Arthur. And now we go sideline to Will Johnston.
Yes, good afternoon or good evening really. It's a very chilly Stratford. It's very, really cold with the wind coming in from the southeast. 2-1 to the Vantage Blacksticks. We've got Siegfried Ekman, the coach of Japan here. Siegfried, how will you look to equal the series tonight?
Well, we look forward to the match because we have something to prove. We lost 2 times in a row. It's a bit too much, but well, we will do our best to get a better result today.
Any changes to the side tonight?
Yes, Wakuri cannot play, so number 21 will not play, and the 2 boys who didn't play yesterday will play again.
Excellent. All the very best. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You're
Excellent.
welcome.
That was Siegfried Ekman, the coach of Japan, and we'll bring in Darren Smith, the coach of the Vantage Blacksticks. Darren, really strong performance the other night, last night in fact. Back-to-back games, do you think that'll affect the team?
Oh, look, I mean, I think a great preparation for Korea in a few weeks. So we'll play them Saturday, Sunday, and we get to play Japan on Monday and Tuesday. And I thought last night that we finished the game pretty strongly in the fourth quarter. Was really impressed with. You know, the team's battled tough over the first 3, and nice to get a result against them last night. And tonight would be good to finish with a strong performance. And another one of your players, milestone with Mr. Bennett, getting 100 games, which is exciting for him. Yeah, I mean, Corey been a great player for us, and we've relied on him over the last period of time. So 100 caps is just fantastic. So hopefully we put in a strong performance for him. Excellent. All the very best. Thank you very much. All right. The messages from the 2 coaches down on the sideline. Very chilly. Will the conditions play a part? We'll wait and see.
Yeah, Will Johnson, our sideline eye. We have to rug up now and brave the conditions out there. The southeast winds certainly coming through the hockey turf here at the TET Multisports Centre in Stratford, as the 2 groups of mascot kids from Te Kura or Ngā Ruahine Langi hockey team and the Eastern District's Junior Hockey Club as well take to the turf. They'll shortly be joined by Samurai Japan and the Vantage New Zealand Blacksticks. And Chris, as Darren Smith, the New Zealand coach, mentioned the ideal scenario, these back-to-back games for that Olympic qualifier against South Korea in 2.5 weeks' time.
Absolutely. They'll take a lot of confidence if they can take a 3rd win here tonight. They certainly will want to be trying all the combinations and putting it together for that Korean matches coming up.
Which, of course, will be here at Stratford as well. As Darren Smith, the Blacksticks coach, mentioned, back-to-back games, Saturday and Sunday. It's very much a dress rehearsal for that. The winner of that qualifying series will go to the Tokyo Olympics. Of course, the Japan side, as hosts, they have already qualified. But as you heard from Siegfried Ekman as well, their Dutch coach, very much a side that is on the rise and wants to level the series here. They're not going to be satisfied with just a bit of experimentation and trialling things. They want to get results.
Absolutely. There's no way you want to have 3 in a row, so they'll be taking everything they've got to the Blacksticks tonight.
And our mascots tonight from the Tuatarangi hockey team.
As we've had the players now take to the field, also led out by the umpires from tonight's game. Hideki Kurashita from Japan and Ben Grant from New Zealand, the two umpires, as the two sides shake hands as they make their way onto the turf this evening. Samurai Japan ranked 15th in the world, but as I touched on before, certainly a side on the rise. Vantage Black Sticks ranked 9th heading into the series and looking to get 3 wins in a row, which doesn't happen a lot for the New Zealand men's hockey team. Will be, no doubt, as Chris Arthur mentioned, a confidence boost before they take on South Korea, who will be here in the first weekend of November. 2 matches to decide who goes to the Tokyo Olympics. As there will be an acknowledgement for Corey Bennett, who is playing game number 100 tonight. Number 2, there he is, centre screen, Corey Bennett. Big achievement for him, as we will now pause for the national anthem of Japan. And now, the national anthem of New Zealand. New Zealand national anthem, and the stage is now set. Formalities over as the two sides have their pre-match high fives. Are in a punch here to lead the New Zealand side against this Samurai Japan side in the 4th and final game of this TSB Community Trust Series. As we firstly bring you the Japan team news, they'll again be led by Genki Mitani, and the big news, as you heard from their coach Siegfried Aikman, as they are without number 21 Hirotaki Wakuri. He was the man of the match in the opening game, so it's a big loss for them, and very much impressed us yesterday as well, Chris Arthur.
They certainly did, yes, they will, but no doubt that as a team they'll come back harder.
Yeah, they were disappointed with their result and some of their performance from their game last night, game number 3. as we see the New Zealand side, who will be led by Aaron Punchia.
International hockey.
Now that's because Blair Tarrant is out with a hamstring injury, which he did yesterday. Also without Hugo Inglis, he has not been able to feature in this series because of a back injury. Jared Panchia and George Ennison also won't feature. And so what it does mean is that Leon Hayward, who I saw singing the national anthem, the former Kookaburras goalkeeper, so he's learnt quickly, which is good to see, will make just his second appearance for New Zealand. And recently switched allegiances. His mother was born in Dunedin, so qualifies for New Zealand and hasn't played for Australia for 4 years. Played for Auckland in the Ford NHL and will no doubt come off the bench. Richard Joyce will start in goal for the Vantage Black Sticks. As we're about to get ready here at the TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki. Big welcome to all of you viewing on the Black Sticks Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as on Sky Sports 9. Hope you are settled in. Looking forward to 60 minutes of hockey here. It's the series decider in the TSB Community Trust Series between the Vantage New Zealand Black Sticks and Samurai Japan. As we are underway, New Zealand with the ball at their stick, and they go with the overhead, which was successful for them in game number 2, and they win a quick free hit, working on the baseline here. And game number 100, is it Bennett? No, in fact, it was Jacob Smith down that baseline. Now, shot on goal early in the opening seconds of this game. Well dealt with by the Japanese keeper, who denied New Zealand a fast start to this game, but promising early signs, Chris Arthur.
Yeah, great to have pressure in that first opening match, opening hit off and be right down in their circle. What we want to see.
Absolutely. Jacob Smith, one of those players who didn't feature last night, is returning along with Nick Ross and Leon Hayward as well.
Yeah, nice little jinking along that back line, which was created that option for him. Trying the high ball again.
Yeah, Shane McAleese not quite executing as he would have liked to with that overhead. So that goes over the sideline, and Japan now with their first possession inside New Zealand territory, but they're going to come back into their half. There's a bit more space and switch the point of attack, coming over this left-hand side. Right back to Hilotaki Zandana, number 29. He scored a couple of goals in game 2. Their drag flickers, so watch out for him if they get a penalty corner. They'll be disappointed, the Japanese, that they didn't score from their 4 PC efforts that they had in game 3. Held scoreless by New Zealand. New Zealand running up 2-0 victors. 2 penalty corner goals from Nick Woods and Sam Lane, both coming in the final quarter. We'll see if we get any early goal-scoring action this time around. As Japan loses the ball over the baseline, so I'll be back at the New Zealand stick. They come over this commentary side of the turf, and it's Kane Russell going on a little run down this line where he's so handy. He's finding a play on the baseline. It's Sam Lane. Can he get inside the circle? He does, but Japan do well to stop him first time around and then give up free hit New Zealand. So Japan defend well. But that was, again, a promising run by Kane Russell.
Oh, it's great to see them overlapping down that outside and getting into the circle nice and early.
That's good work by Jacob Smith this time, forcing the turnover for New Zealand. So New Zealand's press comes up with the ball, but then a foot there, so free hit given away. Japan now with the overhead into a bit of space just inside their half. Nice little turn there, finding a teammate, trying to find the 1-2, getting the return ball. Comes off a New Zealand stick, so good work. Mitani involved there, the captain, who's now got the ball at his stick inside the Black Sticks half. Goes with a crash ball towards the circle. Not able to find the target, but still going to be on the Japanese stick. And again with that driving ball in the circle, working to the baseline this time, but that one goes out. It will be New Zealand possession. So a pretty frantic start to this game. Good pace in the game, which will please both coaches.
Great pace, but the defence is holding strong. They're feeling looking very confident out there, New Zealand, at the moment, with their ball in hand and the way that they're screening off the Japanese players as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a bit of a change of tactic from the Japanese. We didn't see too many crash balls from them in the game last night, but already a couple put in there. So we'll watch with interest to see if that is a change of tactic.
Yeah, traditionally they do put in a lot of crash balls, which puts the defence under pressure, and it can come off, but it's also something that can be overplayed.
Japan doing well to get out of 3 Black Sticks players and open it up to a player with more time. On that near side is Fujishima, who finds a team up with a great ball going across to number 12, and Nagai, and then goes out for New Zealand stick though, so still Japan possession. Already almost 5 minutes gone here. 4th and final game of this TSB Community Trust Series in Stratford. And there's Japan come up with the loose ball, a bit sloppy from the Black Sticks there. Now Japan will look to penetrate into that circle if they can. Tried the ball to open up the play on that right-hand side. And it was not finding its intended target, a bit of a breakdown in communication that time. And now New Zealand back with it. Stick at Woods. It was impressive last night for the Black Sticks. Now stick at McAleese. Back to Woods. So often.
Well, that was a lovely spin out of there, and great linking ball through to Dylan Thomas.
Yeah, Dylan Thomas, who also had a pretty impressive cameo yesterday. Just his 18th game for New Zealand, Dylan Thomas. Not quite able to get on the end of that one, but still promising signs again down that right-hand side for New Zealand. First was Kane Russell, now Dylan Thomas.
Yeah, they're certainly putting the Japanese under pressure here, which is a great start to this first quarter.
Yeah, Stephen Jennis up high for New Zealand there, harassing the Japanese defenders as they try and pick their way through the New Zealand press. They're going to earn a free hit to give themselves a bit of breathing space. Marcus Child giving up that free hit. Now they work on this right-hand side to Japan. And another free hit. That was good work from Mitani, captain. And then that one find its way to the back of the net, but of course from outside. You need to get a touch from inside the circle.
I think we might have touched it in, actually. Yep. I think it was off a defender.
So again, it has to be off a Japan stick inside for it to count as a goal. There's Woods. Now to open up the play. Bennett, game number 100. Panchia. McAleese. Further forward than we saw him in last night's game. Now Thomas, Jennis, lovely little turn on that sideline, but knocked out by Japan momentarily. Back the stick of Jennis. Jennis tries to pick through a gap and does, and then lovely little trap to keep hold of possession. Can he get the reverse stick shot? He does get it away, but blocked by a Japanese player and cleared, and they're going to say a free hit to Japan. As we see a replay, this was lovely little work from Jennis to dribble his way through. Reverse stick effort saved by the keeper well, and Takano. And that save needed to be made. Yeah, lovely work, and Jennis showing what he's capable of when he takes on the defenders.
Oh, it's great to see them actually attacking with such intensity tonight.
Yeah, at times maybe a bit too much back to goal stuff, but already tonight New Zealand's certainly been going right at their opponents.
They're certainly looking like they want to take it to them, and they're really competing for every ball. They're contesting those 50-50s, and it's paying off for them.
Now, Seven Tanaka, who was man of the match in Game 2, despite the 2-0 defeat to the Vantage Black Sticks. Tried to get something going for Japan, but it's going to be the turnover, and now Shane McAleese. Take across to Bennett. Now, over on that left-hand side, Bennett gives it into the centre of the park to Panchia, who's standing in as captain tonight with the captain's armband. As you can see, no Blair Tarrant, who pulled a hamstring last night. Hopefully not too serious as New Zealand look ahead to their Olympic qualifying series against South Korea in just over a fortnight. You see Nick Ross into the game as well, one of those returning. Number 7, back to Panchia. Woods. To Panchia. Inside his 25 yards. Woods. No, sorry, Ross, excuse me, loses it momentarily, then tries to make it up with the tackle, and off the foot of Bennett. Free hit to Japan. So New Zealand did well to stop that, because that was looking like a potential counter-attack for Japan inside New Zealand territory, but then they have a wayward pass themselves and give the ball straight back to New Zealand. Simon Child making his way up this right-hand flank, tries to link up with Jenis. Unable to do so after a bit of a clash of sticks. So Japan back with it. Almost 10 minutes gone here. Game 4 of the TSB Community Trust Series, the 4th and final game. New Zealand lead the series 2-1. Japan a chance to level it. And no doubt if it is level, we'll probably see some penalty shootouts because they've been practicing after every game, both teams.
They certainly will. They'll be practicing them again and anticipating, because that's what will happen in the Olympic qualifying if it's a draw at the end of the 2 games.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It's strange having a 2-game series, isn't it, to decide things rather than 3. And of course, there's no away goal rule or anything like that. They have in football, because both games are here in Stratford. New Zealand hosting both.
Well, that's the advantage of being the higher-ranked team, so it's great for New Zealand to have got themselves in that position.
Yeah, completely. That's courtesy of their ranking of 9th in the world. Already a few teams have qualified. Of course, Australia qualified after winning the Olympic qualifying series, the Oceania qualifying series against New Zealand in Rockhampton last month. Black Sticks women have qualified after beating the Australian Hockeyroos.
That was some pretty intense hockey too.
As it was, yeah. Olivia Mary sending them to Tokyo with a goal to equalise with just 5 minutes remaining, then holding on for a few penalty corners late in the game as the Vantage Black Sticks women sealed their place in Tokyo. The men looking to follow them. Got some work to do. Firstly here in their final build-up game, and then those 2 matches against South Korea in the first weekend of November.
The Japanese are looking a little bit rustled out here, a little bit harried.
Yeah, certainly not as composed as they looked defensively, or willing to pass it round in their own zones last night. Maybe New Zealand coming with a bit more of a press, a bit more successfully, as they this time go with the overhead to get out of trouble. Kane Russell intercepts and eventually brings down the ball as well. Now back to Reid. Lett, so 2 new defenders on for New Zealand, and Reid and Lett. Now Russell. He'll look for an overhead of himself, a good exponent of it. And lovely taken down by Jenis on the baseline. Now this is dangerous for Japan. What can New Zealand come up with here? Jenis back to goal. Flicks it through.
Beautiful.
Just wide. Well, lovely pick up of the stick. And then just wide of the goal. Mesmerising defenders. Look at this replay. Side to side, and then just picking it up on the stick. Lovely touch, and it had the goalkeeper beaten.
He did have him beaten. Just outside.
Just couldn't finish, just couldn't get the shot on target. So another warning shot for Japan. And Jenis is certainly looking lively in this one.
He looks as though he's on form tonight, doesn't he?
And then the crash ball coming in for New Zealand, though. New Zealand stick able to get on the end of it, though, as that one went safely into the goal.
Yeah, it was worth a shot, because Jenis was in there.
Yeah, there's New Zealand players in vicinity, so you see what Simon Child was trying to do for sure. Japan then taking it down. Nice overhead for them this time, and they bring it onto the edge of the circle.
I feel like the momentum's definitely in New Zealand's favour at the moment, so it'd be really good if we could capitalise on it.
Yeah, it's almost like what we saw in Game 3 when New Zealand started brightly, but Japan earned themselves a couple of penalty corners, and New Zealand will want to keep them out of the circle, as they managed to do this time round, but then giving ball straight back. Now back to New Zealand. Scrappy passage of plays, both sides turning over the ball as Japan harass and get possession back. Now at the stick of Ross, across for New Zealand. And now a bit of work to Woods to do, and he had 4 players around him and somehow found a passing alley to a teammate. Now opening up play on this right-hand side at the stick of Russell. He has some space to move into as Japan sink back into their own half, allow New Zealand to come forward. Now this is where they'll be tight on their opposition players. Simon Child, lovely bit of stick work there to open up into space. Now finding Russell. Russell with the ball into that right-hand pocket. Quite unable to control there was Marcus Child. So Japan will get the ball back. And then that overhead unable to be controlled as well. So now New Zealand back with it. Working on this left-hand flank. Lane. Child inside ball, trying to find Jacob Smith, who was in a dangerous position near post. Japan managed to clear it over that baseline, but still at the stick of New Zealand for the long corner. Woods now turning playmaker, goes with the overhead. And
Into traffic, unfortunately.
too many bodies around, so that's judged to be dangerous. So Japan earning the free and then going with the overhead of their own, looking for their lead run-up. And Ryose unable to get on the end of that one though, so New Zealand back with it on their sticks. McAleese back with it. I think Steve Edwards is coming to the game now. Kane Russell working down this right-hand side. Well defended that time by Fujishima. Now Fujishima running forward. Finds Yamasaki. Yamasaki to Fujishima. Fujishima just on the edge of the circle looking for an opening. Where can he find a weakness in the New Zealand back line? There isn't one, so he goes back to Yamashita, the veteran of this Japanese side. And then he tries to work something down that right-hand side, and New Zealand do well to shepherd it over the baseline. And they will have possession back on their stick. There's the seconds tick down in this opening period. Still scoreless here, but certainly a number of opportunities. Stephen Jennis, the two best, forcing a save from the keeper and then going just wide. Two bits of individual brilliance.
I think New Zealand will be pretty happy with the quarter, and they'll go into the quarter break knowing that they've put plenty of pressure on, and if they keep going, something will happen.
Yeah, so quarter time here in the opening quarter of the Game 4 series decider of the TSB Community Trust Series between the Vantage Black Sticks of New Zealand and Samurai Japan, and it is scoreless. But as you mentioned, Chris Arthur, New Zealand have had some good opportunities and they haven't let Japan inside their circle.
No, they have certainly kept them out, and they've had all the run of the play.
What would you be looking to talk about in the huddle with you? Glenn Turner, who's obviously taking charge of this Vantage Black Sticks side again. What would be the message, just to continue what they're doing? Is there anything else they could maybe do as we see some of these moments of brilliance from Stephen Jennis? And look, he had the keeper beaten. Takano came out and there was an opening there, just wasn't quite able to finish. But is there anything that you can think they can do better?
I think he'll be telling them to be patient, to keep patience and keep knocking the ball around. Look to the overlap, because when they're overlapping, that's when they're creating options down that outside. So I think the last thing they'll want to do is just keep the Japanese out of their attack and control the ball. They're doing it very well. So
yeah, they are seamlessly with all the players coming on. It seems like all the roles are working very fluidly for this Vantage Black Sticks side. If you're just joining us here on Sky Sports 9 or Vantage Black Sticks Facebook or YouTube channels, they're without their captain Blair Tarrant because of a hamstring injury. So without one of their usual mainstays in defence, but have looked very assured at the back.
Looks like the kids are having a bit of fun.
Yeah, certainly enjoying themselves. That's good to see. I think that's the Eastern Districts Junior Hockey Club mascot kids for today. Enjoying themselves here at the TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki. It's blustery southerly is coming through. It's not the best conditions for the spectators, not bad conditions to play it. So there's still good hardy souls here enjoying some very top level hockey, which no doubt be warming them up. As we're back underway, second quarter action.
So again, that high ball working for them because Japanese didn't give them enough space.
Now, Child has a free hit of his own on this baseline, this left-hand pocket. Trying to find a teammate, does throw in a couple of legs to Ross. Ross inside the circle, and a penalty corner awarded as the Japanese player cops one on the knee, saying maybe that's a...
Saying it's a little bit high.
It's a bit high. We'll catch the replay of that one. As the Japanese player goes down on his haunches, certainly saying Sirin Tanaka was man of the match in game 3. That was perhaps a bit high. We couldn't catch it from that replay if it was. But the umpire, Hideki Kirishita, so I think, no, that is a penalty corner. So New Zealand have their first PC of the game. Stephen Jennis to take. Who will be waiting at the top of the circle for New Zealand? Looks like the familiar figure of Kane Russell. And that's almost undefendable up in that top left-hand corner of as New Zealand see it. and less than a minute gone in the second period. And the Vantage Black Sticks lead Japan 1-0, courtesy of a Kane Russell drag flick. As we see a replay here, you had Nick Woods in attendance as well as a possible option, but they went to their number 1 drag flicker in Kane Russell. Number 21 for New Zealand. Watching here, the trap is good from Ross and high up in that right-hand corner of the Japanese goal. And what a PC exponent he can be, yep. Kane Russell.
Pretty hard to stop that when it's roofed like that. It was a great drag.
Yeah, speaking to Nick Woods, who scored a PC of his own, a drag flick of his own, he says that, you know, Kane Russell's on another level. He really does look up to him and try and do what he does, and that's exactly why, an example of it. One of the very best in the world, Kane Russell, when he gets it going. Scored 4 times, of course, in game 2, 2 of them from penalty corners, from drag flicks. Now he has another goal, number 5 of the series. Didn't play in game 1. Was denied a couple of penalty corners in game 3. But with his first opportunity of game 4, he gets New Zealand on the score sheet. Now Japan, they'll continue to attack here. That's certainly what they've shown throughout this series. They scored 5 goals in the first 2 games, before they were held scoreless last night. Yamashita, most experienced player, almost 200 games for Japan. Welcome addition for game 3. Here he is again, Yamashita, looking down this left-hand side. Get the ball back again now, looking through the middle. Lovely little stick work by the new captain, and Genki Itani. Tani back further again to Hoshi.
They're shutting them down very well. They're not leaving space for them to come through, so they're having to go back and around several times.
Yeah, Japan having to be very patient here, aren't they, Chris?
Yep.
Because there's no passing lanes for them, and eventually they go with the overhead. There's a bit of space there, and Japan take it down very well on the baseline. Now the crash ball coming across. New Zealand players managed to get their sticks to it first. There were Japanese players in the area, and that just shows how quickly, from nothing looking on, Japan managed to create something. And a bit of a warning there, because that's one of the first times the Japanese been able to get a circle penetration. New Zealand back with it. Stick of Woods. Woods earns a free hit. Now goes with the overhead himself. It's going to be judged to be dangerous. So Japan back with it. Oh, that's a sloppy ball.
Yes.
In the midfield, you don't want to be giving the ball away there. Options now for New Zealand, left and right. They come to this right-hand side. McAleese coming forward. Finds Jenis, but that one coming off a Japanese stick. Now back to the stick of McAleese, trying to find the return ball to Jenis as he worked baseline. But Jenis was a bit too slow, I think, to read his intentions. It was on, but not quite able to sync up. So another warning shot for Japan. As Jenis certainly seems in one of those moods.
He looks ready to pounce, doesn't he? Every time it's near that circle, he looks like he's got his eye on the goal.
There's Woods. We'll go back now to McAleese. Game number 302 for Shea McAleese. One of only 4 New Zealand men to have played 300 times for the Vantage Black Sticks. Great achievement achieved on Saturday, celebrating with a 6-3 victory.
He's a very sound defender back there and creates a lot of play. Keeps it pretty steady.
And he'll be wanting to go to another Olympics, that's for sure. Vantage Black Sticks with their Olympic qualifying series against South Korea. First weekend of November. So their final warm-up match for that series. Ideal preparation for New Zealand. Back-to-back games, as it will be for a place in Tokyo. Japanese, of course, qualify as hosts. But for them, they still want to get something out of this series. They want to use this as a bit of a trial run themselves for the tournament. And there'll be another number of back-to-back games, of course, for the Tokyo Olympics. Bit of pressure again by New Zealand as they now force Japan inside the circle. Very few options for Japan. And well done by Jenis as he almost managed to fool Yamashita into that and almost came up with it, but Yamashita is still with possession now. Somehow that ball manages to clear its way through, only as far as a New Zealand stick, but then New Zealand giving up the free hit.
Yeah, they just need to tidy up that tackling there. They had him locked in that corner. It was some great pressure.
And Japan will be relieved to have a bit more space around them now. Really trapped in that corner they were, nearly all the players inside the Japanese 25. Now Yamashita right at the back inside his own circle, brings it out. Now over to this right-hand side where Fujishima is back to the experienced Yamashita. But again, Japan struggling to find any options. Now they have a chance right up through the middle. That was lovely little interplay, finding Oshiai. Oshiai with a reverse stick across goal. Japan comes up with it, control the first time, but unable to control the second time. And it goes over the baseline off a New Zealand stick. But again, it didn't look like much was on. Then all of a sudden, they quickly break through. An opening is created. Japan with that lightning quick speed and great skill almost create something.
Yeah, they just created 2-on-1 and it opened up for them. It could have very easily been 1-1. So the Black Sticks are going to have to stay alert.
As we see this great first touch initially to beat the player in Steve Edwards, but then wasn't able to control in front of Joyce, and Joyce doing a great job coming out the keeper, being strong, cutting down the angles.
I think Nick Woods just got a stick in there too and put the ball out of his reach.
As New Zealand, a warning sign for them. Japan have had a couple of good moments, once from an overhead and that one through a good little 1-2 in the middle of the field, creating an opening with a reverse stick across the goal. Well controlled in front, but combination of Joyce and Woods denying Japan that time. That's a good interception in midfield that time by Liosei. Now over to this near side with Nagayoshi. And over to this right-hand side now for Japan. Again, they'll be patient. Certainly had more of the possession in this quarter than
Yes, they've worked their way back into this game.
and they did in the first, but New Zealand in the goal to show for it. If you've just joined us here on Sky Sport 9 or Black Sticks Facebook or YouTube channels, it was a goal from a penalty corner in the opening minutes of the second period. Kane Russell after a scoreless first 15 minutes, which has put the Vantage Black Sticks 1-0 up.
That's a very nice movement they've just had there. I think it started with Brad Reid.
As Nick Ross unable to hold on to possession, unfortunately, for New Zealand. So Japan now have it, pouring a few numbers forward, unable to keep it on the stick that time was Ryosei. And now Simon Child pouring forward. And number 278 for New Zealand. Played in all 4 games of the series after having been unsighted in black since the Rio Olympics. Really bad hip injury suffered in India while playing in early 2017. It's great to see him back playing international hockey, and having his previous game been a really tough quarter-final defeat at the Rio Olympics. He certainly didn't want to end his New Zealand career with that. It's been the motivation to bring him back into the Black Sticks, and he'll be desperate to do everything he can to get to Tokyo, as will another number of these players who've been members of the Black Sticks for a long time. Chris, is a very experienced side, isn't it? Players that have played well over 100 games for New Zealand and a lot more.
It is, and you can see the experience come out the way they have the patience to hold the ball, move it around. They don't give away much possession, and I think that's the experience shown.
And McAleese, one of those players who's played over 300 games now for New Zealand. Simon Child isn't too far away. Aaron Panchia, the captain for New Zealand tonight, also not far away from 300. Steve Edwards, more than 200 back in the New Zealand side for the first time since 2015. As well, none of those returnees. You've got Marcus Child, Nick Woods, Nick Ross, all over 100 games for New Zealand. Here's one of those Centurions, and of course the latest member of the club, number 2, Corey Bennett, celebrating game number 100, who will get a touch right now. Nice little turn to bring it back to McAleese. Now Woods, who's ever present, giving an option for his defenders. Now he'll look to trying to find an opening himself. Japan come with a bit more of a press there and cut down the options for New Zealand, and it's turned over. So good work by Japan as they sagged back initially and then came over halfway. Cut down the options for New Zealand, but then unable to turn it into anything. As we now approach the final 5 minutes of this first half. Marcus Child does well to bring it down initially, but then just runs away from him. Japan come up with it, and now they pour numbers forward. What can the Samurai Japan come up with? Well tackled there by Kane Russell. Now Kane Russell trying to find a teammate, does well and finds Ross. Now opening up over to this left-hand side. That's Thomas. Thomas back to Reed. Now all the way back for New Zealand to punch here. Now Woods. Woods will come over to this right-hand side where Dane Lett manages to beat a man. As we hear the local fire brigade noise go out. Certainly not the hooter for half-time here. That's still some time away.
And that was a great opportunity. I'm not sure what they called there, but looked like a great attacking option for New Zealand.
I don't know if the umpires were put off by the hooters as well or not, but it seemed a bit of a surreal passage of play, didn't it? As New Zealand looked like they were in a very good position. Couldn't quite see what that free hit was for against New Zealand. It allowed Japan to clear their lines. As Japan will have it back once more. Be very patient with this build-up. We've seen this throughout this period. They'll wait for an opening. They'll go from side to side, find whoever's free, and then they'll try and find that little break, that little chink in the New Zealand defensive line. They managed to find a couple, once from an overhead and once from a nice little interplay in the middle of the park. Now inside the New Zealand half, and we'll look to come up with something here. Nice little turns from Yuma Nagai, number 12, and now back to Mitani. Well, it's a training night for the Stratford Fire Brigade. Thank you very much, Will. Will keep us up to date with that one. It's good to see that they're still keeping sharp, Stratford Fire Brigade. So it was certainly nothing from the hockey turf. It was coming from beyond the ground here at TET Multi-Sport Centre. There's now a ball crashed in by Japan, looking for Japanese stick to try and deflect that past New Zealand goalkeeper and Richard Joyce. Unable to find a Japanese stick though, so New Zealand have it back with them as we tick under 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Still the drag flick goal from Kane Russell in the opening minutes of this period separating the two sides.
Yeah, so this stage of the game, the Black Sticks won't want to give anything away. You know, they're up with the lead, so they don't want to just defend, but they certainly won't be.
Yeah, they're doing well here because they're going towards the right end of the field where they want to be. Nice work on the baseline by Sam Lane. Remains New Zealand ball. And they will go back to halfway, change the point of the attack. So from that left-hand pocket, they'll now see if there are any options down the right. Japan do very well to harass McAleese though, and he's forced to go back to Lett. And then Joyce will come out, kick, pass to Lett. Now McAleese back to Lett, who's now the deep defender for New Zealand. Edwards, nice little 1-2 with Woods. Just opening up a bit of space for New Zealand and bringing some Japanese defenders with him there, Edwards.
I think the movement tonight off the ball is looking very impressive. Even when they give the back pass, they're looking to move to receive the next pass. So it's just creating more options for them.
Yeah, making it harder for the Japanese to defend as well. And that's a nice little overhead taken down well by Russell. Tried to find player inside and Jacob Smith and unable to link up, unfortunately, there for the Vantage Black Sticks. So Japan now breaking down the other end as the seconds tick down. And that was an awkward one as it flicked up to Richard Joyce. And Joyce just doing safety first and knocking that one away as this one flicks off a New Zealand stick there from Woods. And Joyce judged that well and knocked it over the goal. Japan now back with it and inside the circle and earned a penalty corner. Wow. One of the few times you can count it on one hand, that's for sure, that they managed to get inside the New Zealand circle, but coming off a New Zealand foot, as we'll see the replay here, as that was rather fortuitously got inside, and then I think the foot of Dane Lett giving up the penalty corner. Judges umpire Ben Grant. So Japan now have their first penalty corner of the game. 2 seconds remaining in the half.
And we talked about that crash ball and how it sometimes can pay off, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it sort of bounced through a couple of players, didn't it, to get to Japan, and then doing well to earn the PC. So now Japan with their first penalty corner. As the hooter goes off a bit prematurely, as we see now this penalty corner coming in. A good save by Richard Joy. Stick side, low stick side. And it's hard for the big keepers sometimes to get low down like that, but he did well. Did very well to ensure that New Zealand go into the halftime break here at TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki, leading Samurai Japan 1-0. And that goal coming in the first minute of the second quarter to number 21, Kane Russell of New Zealand. And overall, Chris Arthur, it's been a pretty impressive performance by the Vantage Black Sticks.
It has. They've been very composed out there and playing, using their skill, taking them on, but having the patience and defending really well. So at the moment, you'd have to say they're comfortably in control of the game.
So as the players make their way to the changing rooms here at the TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki, we'll take a break and be back with all the second half action.
They say that the future of humanity is virtual, a place where our personalities are uploaded, and every moment of our life is played out in cyberspace. But what do they know? Ford Mustang. The future belongs to those who build it.
Coverage of the TSB Community Trust Series is proudly brought to you by Vantage Windows and Doors, principal partner of Hockey New Zealand, Computer Concepts Limited, Ford New Zealand, Lotto Sports, and Hockey New Zealand. Live from Stratford, it's the Vantage Black Sticks versus Japan.
Half-time here at the TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki, and it is the Vantage New Zealand Black Sticks who are leading Samurai Japan 1-0 in the fourth and final game of this TSB Community Trust Series. And a goal from Kane Russell separating the sides, coming in the first minute of the second period after a scoreless opening 15 minutes. We'll wrap up that first half shortly, but firstly, we go sideline to Will Johnston.
Thanks very much, Brenton. Yeah, here with George Ennison, who's not in goalie today. He's having a rest, which is good to see, and thanks very much for your time. You've been up the top, end on, so what are you actually doing up there?
Oh yeah, we have a few players on rotation, so if you're not on the field, you're always helping out somewhere. So we stand up the top there and we do the player code. So every time someone in our team's touching the ball, we're computing that into the codes, and so later on when we review it, they can pick up their name and find what they've done during the game. So yeah.
Your video analyst, it's a great thing because it doesn't lie, does it? And it gives everyone an opportunity to learn from the previous game.
Yeah, there's no hiding, and I was saying to someone the other day, we often now with technology, a lot of our preparation for the next game, it's all about reviewing the video. So, in the old days that wouldn't have been the thing, it would just be a hard-nosed conversation about what you've done and what you haven't done. But now we sort of analyse everything down to the 10th degree, yeah.
You're not in goal today as the coach. Just doing a little bit of a rotation to find his combination ahead of the qualifiers in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think during the whole season we've rotated quite a lot. Played half games for this series. We've got 3 keepers, so we're just naturally sharing that to get opportunity and see who's performing and who's in form for what's to come. So yeah.
What will you do now between tonight and the qualifiers in a couple of weeks? Because you're coming back to Stratford, aren't you?
We are. So the whole reason we're here now is so we get familiar with things for when we come back in 2 weeks' time. But it's an important balance over the next couple of weeks as to how much you do and don't do. You can overdo it with training and analysing things, or you can underdo it. So it's a fine balance. But I'm sure we'll find it right. Have a couple of days off when we're back to Auckland, and then get the ground running again. So yeah.
I must apologise to George because I thought he let a goal through when I was doing the commentary the other day, so apologies for that. You were on form, which is good to see.
Yeah, it wasn't a goal, can confirm, and wasn't a howler, so we're all good.
Apologies about that, hey, but really appreciate your time, and all the very best for the remainder of this series and also for the qualifiers coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. No worries. Thank you. And that was George Ennison giving us a little bit of an insight in terms of what he does when he's not actually in goal. It is 1-0 here. The Vantage Black Sticks have the upper hand at halftime.
Will Johnson, our sideline eye there with George Ennison, one of 3 goalkeepers in this New Zealand squad for this 4-match series. So Richard Joyce starting in goal tonight, and on the bench for New Zealand, Leon Hayward, who, as I mentioned earlier in the call, former Kookaburra's goalkeeper, has only recently switched allegiances to New Zealand. So certainly Chris Arthur, Darren Smith and the coaching staff will want to have a good look at all 3 goalkeepers, and no doubt will enjoy having a bit more competition amongst the 3 of them too.
Yes. No, it's always good to bring in new people, and they mix up the combinations and see who's going to come forward and what they can do under pressure.
Yeah, we've seen it with the women's Black Sticks as well, haven't we, as well? Grace O'Hanlon, an Australian player coming in, turned out to be one of the heroes for the Black Sticks in their campaign in the Commonwealth Games. We'll see if Leon Hayward can have some similar success as we see the first half highlight, which was the drag flick goal. We see a great replay of it here, and there was nothing the Kano could do in goal for Japan as that drag flick came in from Kane Russell. Just great show there how quick it comes in. That was a slow-mo replay, and it didn't look like a slow-mo.
No, it looked pretty fast, that's for sure.
As New Zealand is having a bit of a warm-up at half-time as well. You may see a change in goal, perhaps. That is Leon Hayward, the player I mentioned.
Yes, Leon's brother actually is still playing for Australia. So
yeah,
I'm sure
drag flicker as well, and a key defender for the Australian side. And I know I talked to Leon a couple of weeks ago. I'd love a chance to play his brother.
That's what I was thinking. He would love that.
Yeah, having played in the backyard a number of times, he reckons he could easily defend a drag flick from Jeremy Hayward, who is one of the best, if not the best, in the world. With that discipline of the sport, we'll have to wait and see if that does eventuate in the future.
Well, we're certainly lucky. We've got a number of good goalkeepers now in the Black Sticks men, so it's great to have that competition.
Yeah, Richard Joyce been a mainstay for a few years now and approaching that 100 games for New Zealand. George Ennison likewise.
Yes, and we've got Dom Dixon as well, young goalkeeper coming through.
Yeah, it's good to see such a specialist position. Building depth like that makes it a good headache for the coaching staff to have. And no doubt after this game they'll have a much clearer idea who will be the number 1 for the South Korean series, because you're not going to see much trialling with the keepers and half games as much in that series. It's going to be all about who they believe the number 1 is for the match situations.
Yes, but I suppose if you've got nothing between it, then they may still get to play, equal time if there's nothing between them.
course.
just to mix it up so that the opposition don't get used to one style of keeping.
Yeah, well, it'll be fascinating to see how that all unfolds. That's still a few weeks ahead of us, of course. First weekend of November, that Olympic qualifying series, New Zealand, South Korea, as the players, the coaching staff coming back out onto the turf. Siegfried Aikman, the Dutch coach for Japan, and Glenn Turner, the assistant, who is taking charge of the Vantage Black Sticks again this evening. Hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you may be, watching on the Black Sticks Facebook page or YouTube channel, or of course on Sky Sport 9. We welcome all of you to our coverage here from the TET Multisports Centre in Stratford, Taranaki. I'm Brenton Vanissori. With me in commentary is former Black Stick Chris Arthur, favourite daughter of Stratford, 86 tests for New Zealand. Great to have her back here, have that local knowledge. You no doubt would have played in these kinds of conditions before, Chris.
Absolutely, but when I played, we didn't have the turf here, so it was all on grass, but it was right outside there.
Yeah, they don't know how good they've got it now with this beautiful turf here.
Yep.
At the TT Multisport Centre. As Japan will get us back underway in the second half. New Zealand still leading courtesy of that Kane Russell drag flick. The 16th minute of this contest. As Japan, we're desperate to level the series here. To have that penalty shootout that they've been having after the games means something to potentially decide the series. New Zealand are leading the four-match series 2-1, courtesy of their 2-0 win in Game 3 last night. New Zealand were going with a crash ball inside. Nice little turn and shot. Opportunity for New Zealand. Not quite able to finish in front of goal. Jacob Smith, I think it was. The keeper does well to deny Smith, but great start for New Zealand. And just like they did at the start of the game, just like they did at the start of the second quarter, making a menace of themselves. And yeah, there's a good save by the keeper who's they've made a change in goal as well. Yoshikawa coming in for Japan, and he needed to get there with a strong hand. Now Japan, deep inside, there at 25. Yamashita look to try and draw it off a New Zealand stick, just to try and give him a bit of breathing space. Try and go with the overhead. In fact, he gives it up to a teammate. Yamashita moves forward. Now going back inside their circle, Japan. Now opening up towards this right side. New Zealand continuing with the press, though. They're not going to make it easy for Japan to get out of their own circle. Bennett gives up a free hit, the Centurions, but well cut out by Nick Cross. They're benched underneath us in our commentary position. Enjoyed that one. Hoshi for Japan. And now with a bit more space to work with Japan as New Zealand now push back towards halfway. Not coming with that full press now.
He came up quickly, though, to put the pressure on him as he tried to receive.
Yeah, well done Simon Child that time, earning a free hit as well for New Zealand. Now New Zealand marching numbers forward again. Looking to camp inside this Japanese 25-yard.
It's great to see them still really wanting to take it to the Japanese, even though they do lead the series and they're up 1-0 in this game. They're still throwing everything they can at the attack.
Yeah, certainly not defending that slender lead. Pushing forward for another one. Bennett, Centurion, over to Lett, who's judged to have maybe touched that with his foot. I'm not quite sure. Not a clean trap, says the umpire. I think Lett was a bit confused by that one, a bit miffed. But the umpire's ruling is it's Japan possession, and they now make their way towards halfway and over it. Nice little ball attempted down that right-hand side, but not quite able to find the stick of a teammate. So Lett back with it for New Zealand.
I think Japan will be disappointed with their ball skills tonight. They're just mistrapping and just not quite getting hold of it the way they have in the other games.
Yeah, not quite as won as they were earlier in the series. That's lovely little work by Nick Woods. The little nutmeg on the opposition player, and another one I think it was from New Zealand too. Now Dylan Thomas pouring numbers forward, trying to find Stephen Jennis. Yeah. New Zealand earned the free hit. Japan thought it was theirs, so played on. Now it is at the stick of New Zealand. Edwards trying to find Woods. Eventually does, maybe a bit fortuitously. Now opens up play to this right-hand side. McAleese. Russell checks back inside. Back to the 300 game McAleese. Now Bennett, Centurion. Doesn't like what he sees down that left-hand side, so New Zealand come back this right, overhead. It's going to come into a congested area, so that's a free hit for Japan. Japan struggling to get out of their own half in this third period. New Zealand's made it tough for them. Couple of little errors hurt them as well. Simon Child so good at picking pockets, and that time does it wonderfully. Can he find a teammate? He does, right in front of goal. Can Sam Lane finish? Well defended by Japan as the cover got there just in time. For a moment it was Sam Lane one-on-one with the keeper, but he had back to goal.
It was a great little slip pass from Simon Childs. He really is great stealing those little balls.
Yeah, we've seen two great examples of it already in this quarter. Japanese players not aware Child's there, and then he gets the clean tackle. Japan need to finally get a touch inside New Zealand territory. Slightly wishful overhead trying to bring that down, but I think it's judged to have come off a New Zealand stick. So it will be Japan possession. They finally have their stick on it inside the New Zealand half. Just on the New Zealand 25-yard. We'll come back towards halfway. Now inside their own territory again as they have a bit more breathing space, trying to pick that passing lane. Zindana, scorer of 2 penalty corners in this series, but hasn't been having an opportunity here. As Joyce did save a penalty corner in the dying seconds of that first half to keep New Zealand in front. Now let for New Zealand, ending up free hit. And a chance to clear the lines.
Yeah, they look very calm at the back. They look as though they absolutely are in control of this game at the moment.
Yeah, certainly marked different from last night when it was a much more even contest, and New Zealand maybe stepped up the pace just a bit in that final period and earned a couple of penalty corners and were very clinical in defending them. But this contest, the opening 35 minutes of it anyway, has been pretty New Zealand dominated. They would want to probably get another goal or two to really show that dominance, because Japan's still very much in this contest.
Oh yes, yeah. One goal is not enough to sit on.
Yeah, New Zealand certainly aren't sitting on it. They are pushing numbers forward.
Yep.
Reid finds Jenis. He had a couple of moments of brilliance in that first half. Quite unable to finish both of them. One of them saved well by the keeper, reverse stick. Another one just going wide of the goal after he managed to beat a couple of defenders. Now Japan quickly turning defence into attack, pouring numbers forward at the stick of Watanabe. Watanabe still with it. Finds a teammate. Support arrives. And then a poor ball. It wasn't a Japanese player in a 10-metre area, really. And Jenna says, thank you very much. But then he goes down a blind alley. Japan come up with it, but only momentarily, as New Zealand cut out that pass once more. Russell, Manado kept control of that one. That was a bit messy there himself. Japan now with it. Bit of a scrappy period of play, really, from both sides.
Yeah, we haven't just quite got hold of the ball enough.
And now the collision just outside the circle. As New Zealand earned the free hit after the tangle of sticks. And a chance for New Zealand to just pause, take a breath, try and regather their composure here. Messy period for both sides. Won't be pleasing the Vantage Black Sticks coaching staff. Want to get them back into their pattern. Nice quick movement. And attacking inside that Japanese 25. Panchia, stand-in skipper tonight. McAleese, back with it. There's a bit of space to work into, so he goes into it. Nice ball, reverse stick, finding a teammate. I think it was Reid on that right-hand flank, but then he's unable to find a New Zealand lead runner. And now Japan come up with it. Now they pour numbers forward. New Zealand having to get back quickly. They managed to do so, contain it for the moment, but it's an opportunity here for Japan as they look to press inside the circle. Woods does well to push him back from the baseline. And the ball for New Zealand, but only momentarily. Now Japan crash it inside, and it ends up go just wide. And it's going to be New Zealand ball, as you see a replay of this one. Crashed in. You see this reverse stick.
Dangerous.
Yeah, judged to be dangerous as it comes up high, I think, off the stick. So no danger there for New Zealand as far as their goal being in danger. Woods trying to find an opening through the middle, trying to find Child on this left-hand flank. So New Zealand's been frustrated for the last few minutes, haven't been able to get inside the Japanese half.
Yeah, they have. We've got to get that forward movement going again because we've just sort of got a bit stationary at the back.
Yeah, it's the movement off the ball, isn't it, which has been so impressive in this game for New Zealand, which has been lacking a bit of late. Japan have certainly done a very good job making it a bit harder for New Zealand to get out of their half, but now they are inside Japanese territory. Panchia. Here Japan come with their press now, making it difficult. Panchia finds a way through to Woods.
Nice ball through there too.
Yeah, and quick return ball as well to Let. But then Let loses it down that left-hand side. Japan coming up with it. All it does there, come off the foot of Woods. He breaks up the attack, but only momentarily. Now Japan trying to switch play quick to that left was the right idea. The execution wasn't there. Aiki Fujishima out there on that left-hand side, but in the end it was a good 10 yards away from him. And New Zealand now pouring numbers forward as you see Panchia striding down that right-hand side. Doesn't get the ball to his stick though. And Japan again pressing high up the park, making it difficult for the New Zealand defenders. We didn't see too much of this in the first half. New Zealand were really able to make their way towards halfway relatively comfortably. And now straight up route one goes Reid. And Reid, though, unable to find one of the lead runners.
Yeah, I think we just need to have some more movement off the ball and be looking to go for that through ball with the midfield punching back.
Japan back with it. This is a more familiar situation than we saw from the first half. Deep inside their half, trying to play out. New Zealand making it difficult for them. New Zealand cut out the ball, and Russell was there to pick up the loose one as well. And now nice little dribbling from him, but he earns a free hit. There's three players around him. Had to be precise with it. Now going for the overhead. Taken down well by Simon Child, who quickly one touch flicks it on to Jenis, I think it was, down that flank. Trying to find Child, who was coming through, and also Lane was in the area. Unable to quite find a New Zealand stick, and Japan do well to keep possession. That was a lovely first touch from Child off the overhead, wasn't it?
Great awareness of his players around him too.
It hasn't seemingly taken Child long to get back those touches after so long away from the international game.
Yeah, I think another couple of hit outs and he'll be pretty dangerous in there.
Free hit given up by New Zealand. Stephen Jenis, I think it was, hanging his head.
Yeah, they'll be a bit frustrated with this patch of play. They haven't really strung it together as nicely as they did at the start of the game.
Yeah, well, at the start of the quarter as well, which has been probably one of the really signature parts of New Zealand's game this evening. The start to each quarter has been frantic. And now Woods trying to finish this period for New Zealand, like they started it, by going inside the Japanese circle. Japan hold them up on midfield, but now a bit of space down this right-hand side as the crash ball comes through, trying to find Jacob Smith, who dives to try and get a deflection on it. And it goes wide. A good variation from the New Zealand attack that time.
Yep, it's good to put those balls in just to keep the Japanese on their toes.
And it wasn't far away, Jacob Smith, either. Now Japan with it, bit of space opening up. Going to Nagai. Nagai tries to cut back inside, find a teammate. Then it comes off the foot of Japan. They let New Zealand off. The pressure is released. Now they'll go with the overhead. Bennett looking again for Simon Child. Not quite in the vicinity, but it's going to run through maybe to the lead New Zealand runner. It does, and Smith, but then he can't quite control it on that touch line. Maybe didn't quite get there in time. And Japan back with it once more as the wind really coming through now at the TET Multisport Centre.
Oh, a good steal there from
Steve Edwards. Yeah, Edwards does very good on that left-hand side. Makes his way just to the edge of the circle. He's held up by Japan. New Zealand with the free hit outside. Asks for it to be taken close to the circle, says the umpire. Edwards obliges and comes into this corner. He likes that close quarter stuff. Tries to bring in a couple of players and then create something. Didn't quite come out how he wanted it to. And Japan back with it, but they're deep inside their own territory. New Zealand will try and keep them down here if they can. Japan trying to exit via the overhead, do very well. Brought it down very well as Nagai. Number 12 for Japan. Finds it, teammate coming through, and that's his captain, Amitani. But then he gives it up. Simon Child now with it. This is where he can be so dangerous if he can find the right option. Can he find the teammate? Forward, not so he comes back. McAleese now with a big crash ball as seconds tick down in the third quarter, And there we go. That's three-quarter time. So no changes to the scoreline in that third period. It remains the Vantage Black Sticks 1, Samurai Japan 0 in this fourth and final game of the TSB Community Trust Series here at the TET Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki.
Yes, you'd have to say that the Black Sticks have still got control of the game, but that was a little bit of a messy quarter, and I'd like to see them just get hold of it, get their combinations working a bit tighter, a bit closer together to get back in control.
Yeah, the Japanese on the flip side with Siegfried Aikman will be a bit more positive about that period. They had certainly more of a say in that contest. It'll be interesting to see what they can continue to produce in this final period here as the Hardy Souls in the grandstand, despite the cool weather. As you see, coach there with the grey hoodie on. Assistant Glenn Turner, who's taking the reins tonight. Australian striker, who will no doubt want to see more movement up front. I think maybe that's what he was gesturing with as well.
Yes, he certainly brings an attacking style and demands a lot of the strikers, so he will certainly have an influence up there.
Yeah, been a great addition to the New Zealand setup as well. I'm sure the players have enjoyed it, especially those forwards. Influence he has, as you can see in goal for New Zealand. Leon Hayward, another Australian, now New Zealander. Mum from Dunedin. And it was great to see him singing the national anthem. Must be one of those daunting things when you first come into the side.
Yes, yeah, no, I think he's said the only thing he's got to do is learn to appreciate beer, but otherwise he feels like a Kiwi.
Brilliant. I'm sure the boys will help sort him out with that, especially if he helps them get to Tokyo.
Exactly.
They'll be back underway. Final period of this final game of the TSB Community Trust Series. New Zealand still with that goal courtesy of Kane Russell in the 16th minute. Separating the two sides as the drag flick. New Zealand's only had the one PC. Japan only did one PC as well. We saw a lot more last night, despite probably tonight having more goal scoring opportunities, interestingly enough.
Yeah, they've created more field opportunities tonight.
Certainly have. Jenis forcing a good save from the keeper and then going just wide. Jacob Smith's had his moments in front of goal as well for New Zealand, and Japan have also forced a save, one from a penalty corner. And another one well defended by New Zealand after a Japanese break from the field of play. Now coming forward, a rare foray is Shea McAleese. Can he find an opening through this Japanese defence? He eventually comes back to Russell. And that was all the way back to Bennett. Russell comes off a Japanese stick and away. And Russell just assessing his options and goes long down the line, trying to find that lead runner down that right-hand corner. Dylan Thomas did well there. Now Simon Child will try and go to work. And a free hit, quickly takes it. Makes his way onto the edge of the circle. There's 3 Japanese players, though, defending him, Simon Child, and they eventually win out. But New Zealand still pinning them in. They've come up with the ball now. There's an opportunity for New Zealand. Can they work the 3-on-2? No, they couldn't. Ross couldn't find, I think it was Jenis at their back post. I think I've got to give credit to Japan for getting in the way. But right for a moment there, given away by Japan, and New Zealand had a 3-on-2. Weren't able to test the keeper. Woods, he's harassed by a Japanese player. Eventually keeps it though, despite the attentions of Koji Yamasaki. Now Let going with the overhead, finding
Nice
Ross. Ball. Ross to Jenis with the return ball, trying to find it in front of goal. The keeper comes out to make it difficult. Then the
second shot.
Yeah, the second shot, I don't think quite was hit with the kind of power that they wanted. A bit of a miss-hit, and now Japan come up with it. They break back down the other end. As that one allowed to come off New Zealand. Hayward just making sure it didn't threaten the goal.
A nice passage of play where they created more chances at that other end.
Yeah, it certainly was. Great passage, and again, at the start of each quarters, there's something has been said in these team talks, or they're coming up firing, and they're catching Japan sleeping a bit at the start of these periods. But Japan must give them credit for holding New Zealand out. Still very much in this contest. Still only that one goal separating the two sides. Japan again a bit messy, giving up possession. Now New Zealand will look to break, and you saw that raft of subs which are about to come on. Pretty much the bench has been cleared from both sides. Revolving subs, of course, in hockey. Such a fast tempo game.
Oh, bit of confusion there with the umpires, or... Oh.
Not quite sure what the indecision was there. The umpires holding up play. New Zealand taking the opportunity to bring a few subs on. So I think New Zealand thought they had the free hit, but it's a Japanese free hit. So I think that's what the confusion was about. Might have to wait till afterwards to get to the bottom of that one. There's Japan searching for this equaliser. Of course, they want more than one goal because they want to level the series and make that penalty shootout that they've been having after each game as practice mean something.
Yes, well, as they prepare for Korea, New Zealand will be thinking, okay, they've won up in this game. How do we still play attacking hockey but not give it away? And so everything will be done with deliberate intent.
Yeah, because the best way to defend, isn't it, is to attack, to be on the other end of the field. Japan can't score from down here. It's New Zealand opportunity here.
What a great...
And it's Simon Child, I believe, his first goal back in the Black Sticks after 3 years away.
A great back pass from Steve Edwards to, Jacob Smith it was, I think.
And you love the celebrations there as well. Yeah, Jacob Smith with that lovely patient ball to Simon Child, and Simon Child with the keeper out. Too good in those kind of areas. Here, the trailing run comes of Simon Child. He had the space and just placed it past the goalkeeper. Lovely work into play by Smith and Child. And you can see how much his teammates love that, welcoming Simon Child back into the international ranks with a goal.
And great composure from Smith just to lay that guard ball back because too often players will try to take the goalie on where it's a 50-50, where that was a nice easy shot for Simon.
So now that the mountain gets a bit tougher to climb for Japan. New Zealand 2-1 up in the series, 2-0 up in the game, just 5 minutes remaining. Great overhead taken down by Corey Bennett, very accomplished, but then he gives up the free hit as the tackle came in, the ball came off his foot. So New Zealand will want to be very tidy here this final 10 minutes, close this one out, make sure of it. No doubt want another clean sheet, follow on the one they got last night.
Yep, I think that'll be the target now. No goals. Probably no PCs either. Let's not let Japan back into the game at all.
Yeah, it's a great simulation, isn't it, for what's to come in 2.5 weeks' time against South Korea. These are the kind of situations New Zealand very well could be in. How do they close it out?
We hope so.
Yeah, well, absolutely we hope so, as the Vantage Black Sticks try to get to the Tokyo Games. 2 games against South Korea to decide a place in Tokyo. Both of them will be here in Stratford. First weekend of November, back-to-back games, just like New Zealand's had back-to-back games here last night and tonight against Japan, the hosts, of course, of the 2020 games.
Just nice work up that sideline with net, just keeping control. Nothing. Oh, then they've just given it away, so I'll take that back.
You can take the blame for that one as well, Chris. There's Japan now, pull forward. Opportunity here. Has to be quickly on Hayward to come out. He does, and he stops it. So very well done by the keeper, because that was 1-on-1, and that was very strong by Leon Hayward. And I think the Japanese player, unfortunately, has come out worse off for this one, as Hayward says his apologies. There's it. 1-on-1 with the keeper here. Oh no, very good work by Reid. Reid managed to just get in the way, and I think actually the arm of Reid, when the Japanese player copped it. So very unfortunate there for that Japanese player. We'll try and pick up a number later, but you've got to credit Reid for coming over and cover to deny that opportunity, because what it looked like first up was going to be 1-on-1 with the keeper.
Yeah, he certainly put his body on the line for that save.
Now Japan working their way down this right-hand side.
Good steal from Sam Lane.
Yeah, very well cut out by one of the New Zealand forwards. And now back to Reid, who came up with that very timely interception to deny Japan in front of goal.
Oh,
and lovely play.
Passage of play.
Yeah, nice work by those 2 down that left-hand side for New Zealand. Now Jenis coming up with it, but he gives up the... In fact, it's a New Zealand free hit, excuse me. Now Edwards making his way. And so this lovely little dribble by Steve Edwards. Then he goes to ground, trying to maybe earn a PC. And he just tried to keep hold of the ball on the stick. It goes off a Japanese player, so it remains New Zealand possession. Now Ross, another penetrating ball, but Japan cut it out. He was looking for, I think, Stephen Jennison there, unable to find him. And Japan now, a few short passes, trying to make their way out of their own territory. Just keeping hold of possession. There is Hoshi. Now back. Last defender over this left-hand side. New Zealand continuing to press. Make it very difficult for Japan. This is where they want to keep Samurai Japan deep inside their own territory. Can't score from here, as we're now halfway through this 4th and final period, as they wait for a mistake, and it comes. But sloppy from Japan. There wasn't much pressure on that pass. Now Woods, a lovely ball to Jenis, baseline. Working back stick is Jacob Smith. Full stretch, gets a stick to it. I think you've got to credit the keeper, though. Yoshikawa, I'm pretty sure, got there at his near post to save that one.
A great passage of play there from the Black Sticks.
Yeah, all at sync there. First it was Woods finding Jenis. Jenis then the ball across goal to Smith. Smith, full stretch, got a stick to it. Yoshikawa save that one. So New Zealand so close to a 3rd. Trying to find another opening here, New Zealand. Working baseline does very well to keep that in, but then losing possession, unfortunately, Lane. So Japan back with it. But New Zealand are going to want to try and pin them down here, keep them in the Japanese half. They've done very well this quarter so far. After what we mentioned, Chris, was a bit of a sloppy 3rd period. They've done very well so far in this one.
They've certainly come out with a different mindset this quarter, and the Japanese are really struggling to get it out of their half.
Japan, a bit of a wishful swipe at the ball, but it goes straight to a Japanese stick, so certainly the vision better than it looked like initially. And now Japan, a bit more space to work with, although again miscontrolled by the defender on this right-hand side. That time Zadana. Now Jenis, Woods, Child, Simon Child that is, back to Woods. Woods had a bit of space to move into, but he opts to go back where there's even more space to Panchia, standing captain for New Zealand. Russell now down this right-hand flank. Goes down a bit of a cul-de-sac, then finds Ross. Yeah, lovely pass to Ross. Now Ross back to Woods. New Zealand do very well holding possession rather comfortably here, despite Japan really pressing, trying to cut down those passing alleys. Then, right as I say that, New Zealand cough up possession, but Japan give it straight back. Ross has it, has to go full strength to keep it on the New Zealand stick. Then Russell loses possession. Japan in the free hit. Captain Mitani will take it, and he'll urge his players to come forward. Need to get players in the circle. I'd be surprised if we see a few crash balls here from Japan as they try and come up with something as well. Good defending by Child, who earns a free hit. And again, he's able to pick up an interception as Child. Finds an open man, and Woods, who seems to have an age in the middle of the park.
He had a lot of space there. It was a lovely, lovely pass from Simon.
Umpire just wants play to be brought back. I think that wasn't taken from the sideline. I think what the umpire was saying, Simon Child is just trying to play quickly. Fine, Woods, back to Woods. Nice little interplay in the midfield for New Zealand there.
Yeah, Woods is certainly finding space in that midfield today.
Yeah, more advanced role he's had as well this evening. I saw him often the last man back for New Zealand, but he's been more influential in the middle of the park this time around, and his more familiar role, of course. Russell scored the opener for New Zealand in the 16th minute, early in the second quarter, before Simon Child scored.
There was a bit of a
8 minutes
speculation
ago.
here, but it could have been brilliant if they'd been able to get a stick to it.
It's certainly mixing up the tactics of New Zealand. It's not the same every time, that's for sure, as they try and find a way into that Japanese circle. Good work from Japan to push past the first New Zealand defender and Jenis. And goes all the way back to Washi. And we'll get it back once more. Time's running out for Japan. This is not where they want to be. Got to be a bit more urgency in their play.
It's well held from the Black Sticks. They're not letting them in, and that's what they'll be wanting to do, to shut them out now.
This shows how quickly they can turn defence into attack. Japan, though, as they pour numbers 4 down this left-hand side, now trying to find a pass on the edge of the circle. Still at the stick of Japan. Reverse stick, shot, and lovely save from Leon Hayward. It was just inside the circle of the Japanese player, so this would have counted. I thought initially it was going to be a pass, but inside the circle, reverse stick, full length, Leon Hayward tips it over the goal. Good save to keep this clean sheet intact. As we see another replay. Oh, this one is that reverse stick option for Japan. And so that was a replay of the following up opportunity, which went just wide. So New Zealand maintaining that 2-goal advantage, keeping the clean sheet. And that will certainly please the coaches. Now been almost 8 periods without a goal conceded. 4 scored as well after leaking 5 in the first couple, which wouldn't have impressed Darren Smith and his team too much.
No, but 1 minute 47 on the clock. They'll just be now wanting to hold the ball, still do the attack, but not give anything away.
Yeah, it certainly will. There's Edwards making some inroads down this left-hand side. Lovely dribble again. He's been very present in the second half, hasn't he? He's had a few lovely moments, Steve Edwards.
Nice little slip ball there through to Dylan Thomas. It's didn't quite get hold of it. But Japan mistrap again. Give it the ball back to the Black Sticks.
Yeah, there's been a few times too many, isn't it? On this side in particular, unable to trap it and keep hold of possession, and those are the turnovers which can prove so costly, and really denying themselves a chance to chase this game.
Nice work there from Dylan.
Yeah, holding up possession well, and then earning a free hit.
He's given a corner.
Oh, he's given a PC, in fact.
He didn't retreat the 5.
Didn't retreat the 5, yep. Well picked up, Chris. So Dylan Thomas playing on. Japanese defender from the free hit, not back to 5. So simple decision by the umpire. And New Zealand have their second penalty corner of the game, scoring from their first to Kane Russell. Now, who will it be this time? Will it be a variation? You got Kane Russell is there. Nick Woods, who scored a penalty corner last night, is also there. Marcus Child will deliver, as he did for penalty corners last night. Jenis had the first one earlier, which Russell scored from. What can Marcus Child serve up here? Can they get the clean trap? It's going to be Kane Russell again. And that one's flicked, I think, off a Japanese stick. New Zealand Child tried to control it on the baseline. We'll see exactly what that came off. Kane Russell was trying to go high to the corner, I think, again.
Was it just wide?
Yeah, it's hard to see exactly what it came off.
I think it must have just been a wide shot.
Okay. So, no further score for New Zealand as seconds fast ticking away. And you got to say time has run out on Japan. They need 3 goals to level the series. That's not going to happen. And New Zealand will look to just close this out. Can they get a 3rd goal? The series is all but theirs now. There's Japan, 4 numbers forward, looking for one last opportunity for them. And they're not going to get it as the crash ball comes in and goes wide, trying to find one last opportunity to deflect inside as the crash ball came in from Tanaka. But it is over here at the TT Multisport Centre in Stratford, Taranaki. The Vantage Black Sticks running out 2-0 winners over Samurai Japan in the 4th and final game of the TSB Community Trust Series. New Zealand win the series 3-1 after losing the opener 2-1 to Japan. They bounce back with wins 6-3, 2-0 and 2-0. Goals tonight from Kane Russell early in the second quarter and then Simon Child in this final period. And overall, Chris Arthur, pretty accomplished showing from Darren Smith's side.
Absolutely. Perfect preparation for their matches against South Korea, as they would have got a lot of confidence out of the way they played, scoring goals from corners and that field goal. So great way to finish this series.
And it seemed like New Zealand grew as the series went on as well. Got more and more assured and really closed this one out well as we see. This is, believe it or not, from earlier tonight, of course, when there was a bit more daylight. And this is the first penalty corner for New Zealand. And a lovely executed one. Roof of the net. Pretty much nothing the keeper could do in Takano. Kane Russell scoring, and that was the start of the second period. And then a lovely little interplay here. Jacob Smith just laying the ball back to Simon Child, the trail runner, who said, "Thank you very much." Japanese goalkeeper brought out by Jacob Smith. Simon Child goes past the hapless keeper, and New Zealand 2-0. Had a few other opportunities to add a 3rd, but that wasn't to be. So back-to-back clean sheets for New Zealand. Back-to-back 2-0 wins, and a pretty impressive finish to the series as just as the rain starts to come down at Stratford as well. So very shortly we'll go down for our post-game interviews. I'm sure the players won't want to stay out there for too long, as we can now go sideline to Will Johnston.
Thanks very much, Brenton. Down at the after-match presentations, I'm joined by TET's Alan Jamieson and Andrew Woods, and they will give the Man of the Match award to Nick Woods.
Nick Woods. Thanks, man. Well done. Cheers, buddy. Well earned. Cheers, man. Thank you. Good to watch. Thanks, man. Cheers.
Hey, congratulations on your performance. A good win by the team, and that must give you significant momentum headed into the Olympic quarter-final against Korea.
Yeah, very much so. Momentum for us will be the key, I think, going into this, and we couldn't ask for better preparation from the Japanese guys, so thank you to them, and thank you so much for them coming out all this way for playing us.
From your perspective, it was great that you controlled the midfield. Did you find that was a key factor for today's win?
Yeah, very much. They did a really good job of closing down our outsides, and that's such a threat for us. So I think the ability for us to go through the midfield today was definitely key to us winning.
And it was a great defensive effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, for us to get 2 clean sheets in a row, that's sort of unheard of. So I'm very proud of the boys and their defensive effort, and the goalies today performing very, very well.
Excellent. All the very best for Korea in a couple of weeks. Thanks, back down in Stratford. Cheers. No worries.
See you next time.
Excellent. We'll bring in the captain of Japan, Genki Mitani. Genki, commiserations. Where do you think the team went wrongly today?
Of course, we want to win. But this So we learn a lot of. Next, we have a growing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And have you enjoyed your time in Taranaki?
Taranaki. Yeah, enjoyed.
Yeah.
Of course.
What have you been doing while you've been here?
Work.
Yeah.
Bring.
Have you been getting involved in the community?
Sorry.
Yeah. Have you been doing a lot of things while you've been here?
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. All the very best and safe trip home. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we've got Aaron Punch here, the standing captain for the Black Sticks. I was just saying to Nick Woods before, excellent performance, and that's what you needed heading into the qualifiers in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we built on yesterday, and the Japanese team came out pretty strong today again, and we had to break them down. It took a little while, but we stuck to the game plan and managed to get the win.
Yeah, it was a very good defensive effort, wasn't it? Was that a focus area heading into today?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we used it as a bit of preparation for the November series. So, considering we're 2 goals up in the series, basically, we wanted to make sure we defended really well and defended outside the circle. And they tested us in the first quarter and managed to get a few circle penetrations, but we defended well for the rest of the game.
In terms of the squad, will they narrow the squad down or pick a new one between now and the qualifying series?
Yeah, so we'll get narrowed down to 18. So we had 22 here, a couple of injuries, but the squad will get narrowed down to 18 for Korea. Everyone's kind of put their best foot forward, and we look forward to moving on to Korea.
You fly out early tomorrow morning, don't you? So all the very best and safe travels to where you guys go, and we'll hopefully see you back down here in Stratford in a couple of weeks.
Cool. Cheers.
Thanks, Aaron. The man of the match and also the 2 captains from today. It's been outstanding down here in Stratford over the last couple of days. I've enjoyed it, but right now I'm going to get a hot coffee and stay warm.
Thank you very much, Will. Yeah, I think we'll all be doing that. Will Johnston, sideline here at the TT Multi-Sports Centre in Stratford. So we will be back in a couple of weeks' time. The Vantage Black Sticks back in Stratford for their Olympic qualifying series against South Korea. 2 matches in the first weekend of November to decide who goes to the Tokyo Olympics. And I suppose we now all look forward to that one, Chris Arthur. And I suppose one big question, whether Blair Tarrant will be over his hamstring injury, whether Hugo Inglis will be over his back injury. 2 players that Darren Smith will want to see in a couple of weeks' time.
Absolutely. They're two key players, and fingers crossed, I hope that they will be back, because they certainly will add some depth to this team.
Well, we've all enjoyed our time bringing you this coverage here in Stratford. That is all from us. A big thank you to Chris Arthur for all her expert comments, for Will Johnston to braving it sideline. I'm Brenton Vanessaroy, wishing you all a good evening.
Coverage of the TSB Community Trust Series is proudly brought to you by Vantage Windows and Doors, principal partner of Hockey New Zealand. Computer Concepts Limited. Ford New Zealand, Lotto Sports, and Hockey New Zealand. Live from Stratford, it's the Vantage Black Sticks versus Japan.